Hello and welcome to everyone watching Speed Gaming 2. This is a Link to the Past Randomizer Main Tournament 2022 race between devioxs and homemadebeer. I'm Norse Matty. Tracking for us today is Curling Critter, and joining me in the booth today is Ben Creighton. Ben, how are you doing?
I'm doing good. Looking forward to seeing some more randomizer action. Looks like we've got an ambrosia race today, so standard start, sword start, items on bosses, boots in.
I think that covers it. This is a Group F race. Both these runners, and actually everyone in the group, has completed 3 races. Homemadebeer is 2-1. And Devio is 0-3 so far. So looking to get their first win and get that going. Not out of it yet.
Always exciting to get one's first W on the board.
Yeah, we should be getting kicked off here shortly. Ambrosia is a much more standard mode than a lot of the other ones we've seen in the tournament. And there we go.
Looks like we've got the boots in the dark world today, so a couple of strange locations that could be referring to. And, oh, that's a glove in Link's house.
Yeah, so, one thing about doing this standard start is you are not guaranteed a way of getting into those 3 items in the very back of Escape. We know the boots won't be there since the boots told us they'll be in the Dark World. And bombs may or may not show up. But with that glove, we'll be able to get right back to it.
Yeah, that makes it a little bit more of a low pressure issue, although I imagine we'll still see some farming enemies until we determine what drop pools we're in here.
Yeah, study your prize packs, kids. Just a little bit of cash stash here in the uncle and uncle chest, so we'll go ahead and head down to rescue Princess Zelda.
Yes, indeed. I saw a small heart dropping from I don't know why I said a small heart. There aren't any large ones, but a heart anyway, dropping from those green guards, which I think might indicate, depending on what that second drop is, might indicate a prize pool with some bombs in it.
Yeah, I think that, it's either one that's all hearts and then a fairy at the end, or one that'll drop magic and arrows and eventually a bomb.
Or we could just find them right there. It's fine. Don't even worry about it.
We got 3 bombs. That we really don't need any more. You might try to find some more, maybe, but definitely very little pressure to do so now.
Yeah, it's nice to have a full complement in CAC Village, but especially in a sword start mode where you don't have to worry about, say, killing enemies in Mini Moldworm Cave. 3's plenty. And look, it was the it was the bomb pack after all, or a pack with a bomb in it, I should say.
Yeah, if they choose to, they could kill more soldiers or the little snakes in the second half of the escape sequence. But if not, it's not that big a deal.
Yeah, they'll be, even if bombs don't drop from chests here on out, there'll be plenty of opportunities to farm more before they become needed. That's a blue cane in Zelda's cell.
It's kind of nice. Not the best invulnerability item, but at some point it could make Spike Cave in logic.
I always find these standard starts modes interesting because you get to see just that give or take about 6 minutes of sync before our runners have the opportunity to diverge. And Devio going for broke, already a couple of screens ahead of Homemade Beer here.
Yeah, this is, these are rooms that you probably know very, very well if you've done NMG runs before. You aren't going to get some of the chests that you pick up in an NMG run that we will here in Rando, but the basic idea, the movement, everything, it's the same over and over again, and it's very similar here in the Rando. So it's probably one of the more closest analogs between Rando and NMG. But this whole sequence here.
Yep, and Curling Critter in chat bringing up a very good point, which is that Homemade Beer did do the map check, which accounts for some of the difference here. We do have a red crystal there in Eastern Palace, a blue crystal in Desert, and a pendant Hera today.
Yeah, so Devio skipped those snakes there. Homemade Beer decided to kill a couple, hoping for a drop. And there we go. Got the bomb drop, so now he's full up on bombs, and we'll probably never worry about them the entire rest of the scene.
The rat's giving Devio just a little bit of trouble there. He's we say, you don't need to farm for bombs, and then you get down to 1, and it's like, wait.
Yeah, he is maybe going to want 1 now, or 2, because you need 3 to open everything that's available to us in the Kakariko village. So, hoping probably to find another one real soon along the way.
Yeah, there are quite a few more opportunities to grab them coming up. We also got the red boomerang out of Back of Escape there, so that's a chance to check the stun prize potentially. And $50 in Sank, setting up both of our runners very nicely on money for the trip to Kak Village. Don't have to worry about paying the bottle vendor.
No, and it should be able to come up with enough money to actually buy bombs from the bond shop if it comes to that for Devio.
Oh, but Homemade Beer is not satisfied with that kind of cash. He's setting up a Houlihan.
Yeah, you don't see this start very often in a mode like this, but this is going to put him very well on the way to money if he decides to do Zora.
Yep, and it looks like the bush crab prize was $20 too. So if he opts to check that, he can be well on his way to Zora.
And exiting Link's house with from that Houlihan, and going to go over to Saha's closet right now. So maybe trying to avoid going to Kakariko until he's got perhaps a flute or a bottle, something like that, so he doesn't have to come back to it if one of those 2 items should show up along the way here.
I'm always a fan of occasionally doing suboptimal opening strats, just mixing it up just a little bit. Don't want to get too predictable.
He does find a bottle there in Saha's closet. A lot of these you are going to do anyway, so you probably aren't going to skip Saha's closet. So it's not too bad to go ahead and do this and then go to Kakariko.
Yep, and it looks like Devio's not taking any chances with that 1 bomb remaining, saving quitting back to Link's house and heading south of the Grove to farm up a couple more before heading into the village. That strikes me as slightly questionable. You've got plenty of cash to buy bombs if you don't get a lucky drop, say in Blind's hut.
Yeah, I got one bomb from that from those 50-50 drops and decided to just move on. So, checking race gain, nothing there. Not going to have to use a bomb there, which is nice.
Ooh, and that's a sword in the library.
Which we know is locked by Dark World access at the very least.
Yep, that... even if it does wind up being an Agaseed, that will not be the Master Sword that is required for it. And we had 3 more bombs in the back of the tavern all along. We were fine. We were always fine.
It's never a doubt. So now they're both going to meet each other in Kakariko going in different directions.
Yes, indeed. They'll have a chance for a little high five as they pass, and Devio showing off the real tech. Devio's the winner in my heart already for pulling off that chicken clip. That's really all I want to see.
Doing it for the viewers.
That's Blue Mail there in Blind's hideout.
Yeah, we're still looking for some progression. Oh, there's a Mire. Something.
Yeah, that could get us up to our pendant hair out of logic if we wanted to, but more likely it sits in the inventory until it is needed later.
Yeah, that bottle that Homemadebeer picked up from Saw's closet, not actually going to give him that much advantage because there is one here in Blind's hut, so Devio can go down to Sick Kid and do that check in this trip as well.
Yep, and it looks like both of our runners are going to be in good shape to talk to King Zora if that's a decision they opt to make. It is in logic with that early glove.
Yeah, and they already have the money to do it, which is not always guaranteed this early on.
Our runners giving each other a little high five over Sick Kid's sick bed right now, but just 10 arrows today.
Yep. There's Devio's map check, and now heading into do the South Shore, which makes a ton of sense because of what's left here.
Yeah, this is the pretty usual starting sequence, and we haven't gotten anything so crazy that it would tend to pull us out of it.
Mire saves us just a little bit of time here in the dam, letting us get that chest with the Mire block delete, and then pull the dam so we don't have to come in, open the dam, and then come back in and get that chest.
And with $300 being submerged in the dam water here, that pretty much sets us up for as much cash as we're going to need for the rest of the seed.
Yeah, we are really doing well. Homemadebeer, crucially, getting that heart container from Race Game, was blind checking it and decided since he was already that far in, might as well go get that heart.
And Mini Moldorm Cave has an early red mail upgrade, so even with only 5 hearts to his name, Devio is feeling nice and tanky.
Yeah, this is going to be a seed where you can take some risks with damage don't have to. When I have red mail, I tend to play a little bit sloppier because I'm like, you can't kill me. I got too much health.
Yep, and Beer heading left and gonna go give us a look at Agina as Devio breaks right and heads towards the Ice Rod Cave and potentially a fake flipper play to Zora after that. Just $20 in Ice Rod Cave, and Devio going to go ahead and save and quit out. Homemade beer. Grabbing flippers.
Well, beer is going to go ahead and be able to do all those flipper checks in Zora without having to cheat.
And yeah, we're starting to run out of in logic checks, so those flippers could be a huge find if Devio winds up doing Eastern Palace first, and the answer winds up being in, say, Fairy Fountain. It's going to be a nice little early advantage for Beer.
Yeah, for Devio's perspective, if he decides to take this Saw's Closet into Eastern, which would be fairly sensible at this point for him, he's really hoping it pays off because we can't complete it. And this being Ambrosia, we know that one item is on the boss, which we won't be able to get. So at best, he knows he's getting two items out of this.
It looks like Beer's feeling a little thorough today. He's going to go ahead and check Ice Rod Cave before presumably doubling back and doing the rest of the flippers checks. Devio not getting pulled into Eastern quite yet. He's going to save and quit after the Saw's Closet check. Let's see where he goes from here. I think this might be a mountain play from Devio.
Yeah, without either a flute or a lamp, none of what he's going to get up here is in logic. But you are going to get to see what the old man gives you: 2 items of spec rock and potentially 2 items in hair as well.
Yep, it's going to depend on whether that big key is fire locked, since one of those items is guaranteed to be up there on more.
Yeah, and both items could. Well, there's the lamp in Waterfall Cave, so that puts this in the logic, but not for Devio's.
Dead Rock's being slightly rude to Devio, but brings the old man home, gets 10 arrows for his trouble, and continues on. Yeah, that lamp is really not what you're hoping to see when you're relying on those flippers to be your value. Just a bug net on Zora today. But yeah, just knowing that that's potentially something that you could have skipped altogether. And there's the Moon Pearl inside Paradox Cave. So Mountain is the answer to that part of the equation. Still going to need a second glove or a hammer for Dark World access.
Yeah, and if we see a second sword, we would have to then potentially complete Castle Tower and beat Aga in order to get to the Dark World. All right, Devio gets a nice bomb jump there to save a little time and skip the intended route out of Spec Rock.
Yep. Beer pulling just 20 bucks off of the hobo. And saving quitting to Sank. Something tells me he's going to be joining Devio up on the mountain in a moment here.
Where there's even more money. This is a rich person seed.
Yes, indeed. And yeah, with all the pieces of our puzzle hidden in the four corners of Hyrule, even with all of this routing, I can't say anybody has a particular advantage, but Devio grabbing the hammer there in Hera.
Yeah, so homemade beer faithfully followed the logic. Got the flippers, followed the flippers to the lamp. Is going to be following the lamp up the mountain. Devil skipped all that, although you very well may have to go back and get those flippers at some point. But is the first one of the runners to get access to Dark World, and is going to start with the South Dark World checks.
And here's our Dark World map check. We've got a pendant in Ice Palace and our other red crystal in Pod. We learned earlier from Saha that Thieves Town was our green pendant. Oh, and there's those boots that Uncle promised us right there in Hype Cave.
It's nice when you have something like the Dark World. There's a few potential places it could be. It's nice that it just shows up immediately for you, and you no longer have to worry about trying to find it.
So yeah, right now the big difference maker, just a little over 20 minutes in, has been homemade beer going out of his way, being a little more thorough with his checks, and being rewarded with the flippers in Agina leading to the lamp, which is what puts all this in logic. It's going to be real interesting to see if that lamp pays off as a fire source at any point, because... And then the flip side of that being, we know we are going to need the flippers with Swamp Palace rather being a crystal. When does Devio make his way over to Agina?
Yeah, and it could depend on when he is able to get access into Desert Palace. Could very well put off any Agina trips until that point.
And chat pointing out that with that hammer, Devio had the option of going to East Death Mountain, opted to rush Dark World instead, may have been trying to get those boots as soon as possible. If so, he was well rewarded. Let's see if Beer makes the same choice here. He is mirroring out, which says to me, yep, he's headed to East Death Mountain.
Not going to bother, trying to kill Moldor and get the other item out of here in Hera. So, which makes plenty of sense. A lot of work to get that one item out of Hera. That's a pendant. So, another sword up there on the floating island. It will need the mitts in order to access.
Yep, and I missed what was in the lobby chest. Was that the big key, or was the big key fire-locked?
I missed that as well. Homemade Beer didn't do it. Okay, our tracker curling critter telling us that it was the small key, so Devio couldn't take it down to the basement and get the big key because he doesn't have the lamp. Homemade Beer just deciding not to do it.
Yeah, and with how much that hammer opens up, even having the option, I certainly don't hate the decision of skipping that one check. knowing that you'd have to sit through Tile Room and then climb Hera Tower the long way, can't even Hera Pot. That's a long way to go for one check. I usually don't like skips early, but that's a pretty sensible one if you're going to do one.
Yeah, once you've got the Dark World. Oh, well, there's the mitts there on Paradox Cave. So now Beer will be able to check the other checks on the mountain, except he won't be able to do Hookshot Cave because he doesn't have the boots or the hookshot. But we'll be able to get Super Bunny, we'll be able to get that sword off of Floating Island, and check the medallion requirement in Turtle Rock.
And that's a nice find for Devio in the front of Thieves Town. That's the book, which could bring him to the desert area and his flippers. But with no fire source, it's still something likely to be held off on for a while. Unfortunately, the one fire source we know about is locked by those flippers, logically at least.
Yeah, still a fair amount of stuff for Devio to do until he would be really kind of forced into going over there. So nothing to be too concerned about yet. But if it starts getting later in the seed, could be a problem.
Yep, that also does mean that if Devio gets funneled back into the mountain sooner rather than later, he'll have one extra check, the Hera tablet, that Homemade Beer was not able to do. Ooh, and that was the bow in C-shaped house.
Yeah, and that'll give us actually both Pod and Eastern completable. Both the Red Crystal dungeons.
Yeah, that's potentially huge. We did see on Beer's side that Turtle Rock is locked by Ether, which Devio grabbed. I forget if it was on Stumpy or in the dig spot. It was around that area.
Yeah, it was Stumpy. So I don't anticipate Homemade Beer missing that.
Yeah, not for terribly long anyway, especially having the Titan's mitts in hand. It's a pretty standard play at that point to go Hype Cave, he'll get his boots, and then he can go do South Dark World checks and just lift the Dark Rock right up into the Dark Village.
And Homemade Beer is going to end his mountain trip here with a really early look into Spike Cave.
Yep. Meanwhile, Devio grabbing the powder from Graveyard Ledge.
So, yeah, looks like Homemade Beer is also going to start with the South Dark World, so we'll not be missing out on the boots for very much longer. And the nice thing with the mitts is if he chooses to, he can take them off to the left, do Stumpy and Dig Game, and then come back up through the south there, pick up the Smith even, and head into VOO.
And it looks like Devio's got some plans for that bow. Gonna make a quick detour to the pyramid first, unless oh, nope, he's making a liar out of me.
A little past the opening for Pod, and then maybe he thought better of it and said, "No, forget the pyramid for now. I'm going to get the 2 red crystals out of Eastern and Pod. I'll be able to take the big bomb up there, check the pyramid ledge at the same time I do that."
Yeah, that's some heads-up routing if that's his plan. Devio opting to mirror out and do Eastern Palace first. Possibly hoping to find either a lamp or a fire rod to make those pod dark rooms a little easier.
Yeah, I have no doubt that he can do the pod dark rooms, but if you can find a lamp and you don't have to, it's nice.
Yeah, that turtle room especially is can be time consuming if you can't see what you're doing in there, and you can wind up. I doubt he's worried too much about his health with red mail, but still.
Yeah, he does have ether. It's a pretty neat little strategy to just kind of hammer around for a while, and then ether. That'll take care of any turtles that you've got on their back.
Beer remembering to mirror out and grab this sword off of library. That's going to put him on tempered, which is a very nice place to be. Barely half an hour into this seed.
Yeah, not gonna have too much trouble with the bosses at tempered sword, I don't think.
And Beer taking advantage of those Titan's mitts that he found up on the mountain. Going to go ahead and do at least some of the smith chain here. So these will be some new checks for us.
Yeah, we'll see if he decides to take the purple chest at some point after going through VOO or not. I kind of think that once he gets the bow, he's going to just go ahead and head over to the pod eastern area, but maybe he'll decide to get that chest.
Yeah, he's been playing relatively thorough so far, but that's a long way to go for just one check when you've got two fully clearable red crystal dungeons in front of you. And yeah, Beer is not interested in that at the moment.
Yeah, at least not enough to drag it around town with him.
Devio having just a little bit of trouble with that back of Eastern Darkroom. It's a deceptively tricky one. You tend to either get it no problem and wonder why you were even worried, or it takes you 3 tries and it's just misery. Or maybe that's just me.
The Ropas are real good at throwing themselves in front of the arrows and throwing off your timing really terribly when you finally found the Igor you're looking for.
All right, Devi gets it on, or at least gets the small key on the second try, and I have to imagine he gets through it this time.
All right, so homemade beer is going to looks like complete Thieves Town here. This is another thing devioxs did not do, because probably because it is a pendant. It's a green pendant, so there's an extra item in the end for you, but still a pendant, and often you'll see a lot of people skip this this back portion of Thieves Town, even if they do the front 4 chests.
Yep, and there was only one item, that book, in the front, so there's 3 items in the back, plus the green pendant item. Pendant dungeons never feel great to complete, but this one's got a lot of value for your time. And especially considering that Beer's next stop after this is going to be finding his bow in C-shaped house, he'll be able to turn in that green pendant just real smooth in with his next move that Devio's doing as we speak.
Yeah, so far, homemadebeer has made a few more checks than Devio, and the result is that he's been able to do all these extra checks more efficiently as well, just with the items that he's found along the way.
Yep, so far those extra items that Beer's found haven't helped him immensely. Those Titan's mitts opened up the Smith chain checks that didn't wind up being anything spectacular quite yet. And with things like Turtle Rock on the board, a crystal mire that we still haven't seen the medallion for yet, the early mitts can be kind of a double-edged sword because they can suck you in lots of directions that wind up being not what you need to be doing. Beer letting the blind script get just the tiniest bit away from him at the end there, but not a big deal. Picks up a fire shield for his trouble and that green pendant.
Yeah, so unless the green pendant turn-in gives us something, there wasn't anything value there in the back of Thieves. Devio is working on the meat of the pod here in the back area.
Interesting. Looks like Beer is opting to take this purple chest on a little road trip after all.
Yeah, I think maybe the book might have made him think about doing this, because he'll also be able to do the Bombos tablet there.
Yeah, that's huge if it winds up being something like an ice rod or a medallion that he needs for Mire. So not the worst play, but we've definitely seen Beer being extra thorough this whole race.
Yeah, that has been a theme, and he could even just go over to Desert after completing the Bombos tablet with the book, the glove, the hammer, not the hammer, the lamp. He can fully complete it.
Yeah, that's true. You'd like to route it in with a Mire check if you can, but unless Devio shows us a flute real soon here, that might not wind up being an option, so you might as well just take your crystals where you can. And yep, that does indeed seem to be Beer's strategy here.
Yeah, and I mean, Devio's been going through Eastern and is just about to finish up Pod and has not found anything. Got the cape. I don't recall what was on Bumper Ledge, but that's about it. It really hasn't been anything to show for either of these two dungeons other than the crystals that you eventually will need.
Yeah, I mean it's hard to call it time lost because it's not likely that homemade beer gets to go mode these dungeons. It's such density that it's hard to see him putting it off too long after the desert clear. But still, if you're Devio, you got to be wondering, where is my progression at this point? And that's the fire rod there in the right-hand side of desert.
Yeah, that's gives us the ability to complete Skull Woods and Ice Palace. Although with Ice Palace being a pendant, I don't expect that to be the next move. But Skull Woods is certainly a possibility.
Yeah, and with that opening up Ice Palace, your hopes and dreams are alive, chat. That does put pendant or pedestal rather into logic.
Yeah, I think a couple of possibilities there. I think what we're looking for now is the hook shot, the ice rod, and the Canis Maria, and depending on the key lao at ice, those could all be there.
Yep, we're also going to need a flute for Misery Mire, and we have a 2 out of 3 chance of needing one of the other medallions for it as well. So quite a bit left to be found here, any of which could be on Ped. Dueling boss fighting here. Devio takes down Helmasaur just a little bit sooner, just for a buck. And 3 bombs on Lanmo.
Yeah, so simultaneous crystal cutscenes in different dungeons, and now we'll get to see what they decide to do out of that.
Devio opting to walk out of pod. I'm honestly not sure whether this is faster than just save and quitting and taking the portal south of Link's house, assuming he's going for a Pyramid Fairy play.
I think he is. Most of the time, you would just you'd see people save and quit, and then just go back to the Dark World. But taking the scenic route back through the pod maze. So we will get to see here if close the book on Thieves Town, see if that green pendant was worth anything, and it was not.
Yep, so Thieves Town was a bit of a bust today. Be interesting to see where Devio opts to go after this Pyramid Fairy play. We haven't seen Catfish yet, and with the bow in hand, he could conceivably route that in with some Splash Delete flipper checks. But Pyramid Fairy is not going to be the answer today.
Yeah, and after after this catfish trip, Devio is getting pretty close to being forced to find either the flippers or the mitts on the mountain. Other than the back of Thieves Town, I don't know what else he really has to do that's available to him.
Yeah, if he's keeping track of his spheres, then I believe that Agina is really all he has left in logic. So he's got to know that something's got to be there.
Yeah, it's true, because that mountain has never been in logic for him.
All right. Well, Devio is going to use that mirror. Going to go visit the big fish, but he is not going to be doing any Ancilla Delete action into Fairy Fountain today. So he's going to be missing out on that lamp perpetually in perpetuity.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see if he goes to Agina to check what that logical item is, or if he's going to do something else.
Well, he's heading into the Dark World portal. Might be deciding to do something similar that Beer did and check the tablet on his way in. Yep, that does seem to be the direction that Devio is headed.
Yeah, and that's if you're going to Agina's cave and you can get Bombo's tablet along the way, this is a good routing decision.
Yep, and if he's figuring that the odds are pretty decent that Agina is Lamp, he might be thinking, well, that's the fire source that I'd need to clear desert anyway. It's not, but if he does opt to make that desert play, he'll find his fire rod, and after that, Lamp's just a convenience.
Yeah, that is the thing about the desert, is that he doesn't know it, but if he does go in there, he will be able to complete it. But not knowing that the fire rod is there, it's a kind of a more of a risky play, because you might end up double dipping that Desert Palace dungeon.
Yep, and knowing that this is, of course, Ambrosia, going into desert is a big ask for, as far as he's concerned, one item. Ooh, he's considering it. He's sitting on this menu screen.
Yeah, he's thinking, because he probably knows. Okay, so my logical access to the mountain was in one of the water checks, either the Man Under the Bridge or the Waterfall Cave, and it could be the lamp. And if it is the lamp, then I probably should get it before I do desert.
Yeah, it's hard to fault the decision-making process. Unfortunately, with the Curse of Knowledge, we know that he could skip quite a bit of time here just by beelining straight into desert.
Yeah, so we'll see if he goes. He's going to end up getting the lamp out of Waterfall Cave, I think, and see if he decides to run back to desert and complete it, or start working on those all those mountain checks that he left behind.
Yeah, considering that he skipped those mountain checks before, I'd be sort of surprised to see him go back now when desert's right in front of him. Maybe hoping, well, maybe I find my Titans in desert and then I can do that. But it's been a real seed for the key being on the doorstep. Your fire source for desert is in desert. Your Titans that make the mountain a better play are on mountain.
Yeah, there's been some moments of where putting something off, until it's the best possible thing it could be, can bite you.
Meanwhile, Homemade Beer finishes out his pod play, heading into Eastern. Not going to find any progression in there either. And I'd be real surprised if he can resist the lure of Pyramid Fairy after that. So, as these runners kind of cover each other's tracks a little, now seems like a good time to remind folks to just give these guys a follow. They're out here putting on a great show for all of us.
Yeah, don't forget our tracker Curling Critter, who's helping us out here, pushing the buttons, making sure that all the items and crystals and pendants are tracked so that we can save our energy to just blab over the game here.
Yep, you track, we yak. That's how this deal works. So coming up on the 50-minute mark, if I had to call an advantage, it would likely be advantage Homemade Beer at this point, but not by much. I'm trying to think where our progression is likely to be. We're starting to get down to some rough options. It's Pendant Ice, Hookless Swamp. I guess Skull Woods would be the next obvious play, but...
Yeah, that's the crystal. Neither one of them did anything in Skull Woods. From Homemade Beer's perspective, he also hasn't done any of the north checks, either any of the boost checks for the Bonk Rocks or King's Tomb or Graveyard Ledge. So doing Skull Woods and then with the thought of going over to those, would make a lot of sense from his perspective.
Yeah. In non-Ambrosia modes, you often see runners treat the front of Skull Woods like Overworld, but in Ambrosia, where one of those two Skull Woods items is guaranteed to be fire-locked in the back, it's a lot less valuable of a proposition.
Yeah. I was just realizing that this Eastern Palace was one of the worst possible layouts, because you get your two items, but you still need the big key. You still have to go and do the vanilla big key chest.
And of course, chat lives in eternal hope of a Ped Seed and a run to Skull Woods with that book and mirror in hand. That's going to be your best chance to determine whether or not that's going to be the case without going way out of your way.
Yeah, I would anticipate a ped check from anyone who goes up to Skull Woods, just considering that we still need quite a few more items. So, if you're going there, it's good to know.
Yeah, that's the thing with this many items still outstanding. Even if Skull Woods winds up being a bust, and you're left with a choice of between bad choices, they could all be the right choice, for all we know.
Yeah.
And yes, as Mukau in chat points out, in the event of a Ped Seed, Beer has a bit of an advantage because that would finally pay off that Thieves Town full clear that so far has not yielded him any dividends.
Absolutely, and it looks like Homemade Beer is going to immediately go and do Pyramid Fairy after having completed those two Red Crystal dungeons, and honestly, why not? It makes a lot of sense.
And it looks like Devio's got his eyes on the Skullwoods prize at the moment, so we're going to get the answer to that part of the riddle momentarily here.
Yeah, and he is following his crystal progression. got an opportunity to complete a crystal dungeon and is going to take it before doing anything else. Devio is making a beeline straight for the back here. Again, with Ambrosia, the one item is guaranteed to be on the boss, and the other one is somewhere else in the dungeon. But if the other item is in the bridge chest here, then Devios will not have to do any of the rest of this dungeon.
Yeah. Meanwhile, Beer cleaning out some of those North Dark World or North Light World checks, I should say, his boots checks before making that Skull Woods play. This is going to leave Graveyard Ledge a little isolated for him, but fortunately for him, I don't believe there was much of anything there.
I think that was the powder, actually, which we haven't seen Devio pay in.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. Yeah, makes sense that Devio wouldn't bother with that yet. It's something that you tend to like to loop in with your Smith checks if you do it at all.
Yeah, he's probably waiting to get those mitts, so you can do the whole Smith chain sequence area all at once.
Just $20 on the moth today, but you had to do it. It's a crystal. And it looks like we are going to get that ped check. Hold your breath. It's $300! Finally, rupees in this seed of all seeds.
Of all seeds to not need rupees in, it's this one. So now officially, the Thieves Town area was dead.
Yep, if Devio can continue to stay out of there, he will be rewarded for his restraint.
Yeah, I still have to find that one last item here. We're gonna have another meetup. They're both here in the statue room.
Yep, and unless I've missed something, I think that item's going to be in big chest with the big key that Devio pulled out of the bridge chest there.
It's actually right here. Homemade beer just pulled it. It's the flute.
Oh, I missed it. I missed it entirely. Okay, that's an interesting development. That'll give Beer access to Mire area, but not the means to clear Mire if it is even available at all. But valuable information knowing what is going to be the Mire entrance requirement, if nothing else.
Yeah, if Homemade Beer can get into Misery Mire without finding the cane in one of the other Mire area checks, it'd be really interesting to see if he decides to go there or not, because other than that, it's like going to Ice Palace, doing the front of Swamp, getting that. Oh, the Ice Rod was here on Bumper Ledge the whole time.
Ooh, that could spell bad news for Beer. He checked normally one would think to route that in with with your North Dark World checks, but he's already done both of the boots checks. On the other hand, Devio had already done all of that, and he still went out of his way to check it, so maybe.
Yeah, homemadebeer does need to go turn the flute and may just run back through Skullwoods to get to the CAC area to turn in the flute, and make a stop off at Bumper Ledge and maybe even Graveyard Ledge along the way in order to do so. Looks like no. Nope, we're just going to go turn the flute. So, might leave that ice rod behind for a little longer.
Yeah, that's potentially a big advantage for Devio if Beer gets sucked into Turtle Rock before scouting out that ice rod location. Beer's been so thorough all seed, and the one spot he decides to skip.
Yeah, and here's Devio going to make the check of Magic Bat with that powder. So we'll see if both the North Dark World items end up being required.
Oh, okay. Looks like Beer might be headed in that direction after all. He's hopping back into the portal.
Okay, decided not to run through the Skull Woods. Decided to run through the Lost Woods and then turn the flute and then come back and do this. That's good.
And batter was just $20 today, so I have to imagine Beer's probably going to check Graveyard Ledge here. But even if he doesn't, all he'll be missing out on is time spent.
Yeah, powder's nice to have, but with 11 hearts and red mail, not particularly crucial, I don't think.
Meanwhile, Devio has opted to make his mountain play, and he's going to be well rewarded for his trouble with the Titan's Mitts. Although I say that, we'll see where that red cane winds up hiding. If it, well, yeah, I'm not sure it could be anywhere that's not mitts locked. So yeah, there's no way he'd be able to clear out Turtle Rock.
I think this Ether check and Moldorm at the top of Hera, the only non-mitts lock checks that would be possible for anything to be.
I don't believe.
Well, I guess there's Swamp Palace.
Yeah. Beer didn't check the bonk chest of Hookshot Cave. He didn't have the boots from Hype Cave yet when he was up here, so that would be an extraordinarily awkward spot for that to be hiding.
Yeah, if there's nothing else that would draw homemadebeer up to the mountain to get that hookshot, it's pretty tough to go back up just for that one chest there. Okay, homemadebeer floated to potion shop and confused me for a moment, but it appears that was a missed flute. Meant to come over here and take care of this powder check.
Yep, if I had to guess, given the way homemadebeer's been playing, he's wanting to cross off as many of these orphans as he can before doing that Mire area check. If the red cane was in one of these locations he's currently checking, you really don't want to get sucked into Mire without having found it first.
Yeah. Absolutely. But we're coming close to a situation where you're going to have to choose a dungeon to potentially double dip, whether it's Mire or Swamp, unless you want to go into Ice.
Yeah, I like to play into the Mire area at the very least, and it is Quake locked, so no worries about double dipping Mire quite yet. And yeah, that information is worth a whole lot. Oh, and there's the Quake medallion.
Oh, I've never seen that. I've never
Right
seen
there in
that.
Mire shed.
never seen the Quake medallion in Mire shed, or the Mire medallion in Mire shed. Never.
All right, moment of truth. Just $300 in the bonk chest, so not anything that's gonna cause homemade beer pain.
And he is here. He's just going to go in. We're going to take a look. One item is on Vitreous, so only one item is potentially available to homemade beer here. But if it is the Canis Maria, that will work out fantastically. Or even if it's the hook shot.
Yeah, in a non-ambrosia mode, I'd call this play not quite a no-brainer, but a very strong play. Without it, with only one item in here, it's a bit more of a gamble, but still, you're here, and if this does wind up being the answer and you leave it behind, it's a last location, and that's the kind of thing that costs you races, so I don't hate it.
No, it's pretty tough at this point. There aren't any really great plays to make, I don't think. Now it's just kind of a guessing game and hope you go to the right spot.
Let's see what spot Devio heads to next. All right, he is also heading into the Mire area.
Yep, going to find the Quake Medallion and the knowledge that the Quake Medallion opens up Misery Mire. From his perspective, because he does have the Smith Chain still to do, we may or may not see him follow Beer into Misery Mire.
Yep, of course, if that Smith Chain does seem attractive to Devio right now, that could also wind up sucking him back into Thieves Town, which would give back some of the advantage that he's got over homemade beer at this point.
Yeah, we know that all of that would be a complete waste of time, but he does not.
All right, looks like he's going to go ahead and join Beer in Mire at this point.
Just the heart container for that one item. And had to dig around to get it.
Yep, and it looks like Beer's going to keep on moving through, try and find himself the big key so that when he does have to come back in here, he can just beat feet for the boss.
Yeah, and it's being very unfriendly. I believe it's going to end up being in the last chest that he's going to check here. But fortunately for him, Devio is going to do all the exact same thing, I think. So we'll not lose any time from doing this.
Yeah, at this point has a pretty clear advantage, being half a half a Mire dip ahead of Devio, and with more checks behind him as well. But still plenty of chances for that to flip, and this is going to be the big one. This is a big decision. Do you do Pendant Ice or Hookless Swamp? And Homemade Beer has opted for Pendant Ice.
Yeah, you're kind of at the point, I think, where you need 2 items for go, and you think, well, one of them's got to be here, right? Like,
yeah.
I mean, it absolutely doesn't have to be, but don't want to have to, after just having double dipped, or knowing that you've just double dipped Mire, don't want to also have to double dip Swamp.
Yeah, certainly true. And if it's Hookshot in here and you can do Swamp all in one go, that's fantastic. If it's Red Cane here, then oh well, you go back and knock out Mire.
Yeah, and Turtle Rock. So
Yeah.
either of the 2 items being here will give us a good sense of direction of where we're supposed to go next.
Beer gonna show us some of that old school tech. It's the Ice Palace bomb jump. Icebreaker's great, but if I had to learn this, so do the rest of you.
Yeah, this is why you learn it, because you're not always going to have the cane when you go into Ice Palace, and if you're going to get through it in any reasonable amount of time, Homemade Beer likes doing it so much, it's going to show us how to do it again.
Devio was trying to be cute and skip cutscene chest, but was not to be, having to double back to find his heaping helping of disappointment here in Mire. Beer about to show us another one of our fun bomb jumps. And I have not been paying attention to key layout. Also, I'd be a liar if I told you I fully understood it anyway, but I'm not sure how much of this is in logic with no Red Cane and no Hookshot.
Well, it depends. I think because we haven't seen the Freezer chest. If haven't found a small key yet. If there's a small key in the Freezer chest, then this is not Hookshot locked, I believe. But if there is no small key in that Freezer chest, then this is Hookshot locked, and we won't find it. But don't quote me on that. That might be wrong.
And Beer pulling Bombos. So nothing helpful quite yet. Meanwhile, it looks like Devio might be handing some time back to Beer by heading into Smith Chain. Hard to blame him, but it's not going to give him what he wants.
Yeah. Last item there is on Cold Stare. That was a bottle. I want to say this is not cane locked, so there is a point to doing this.
Yeah, I mean, even if this is logically cane locked, you don't want to find out that cane is in Swamp and then, front of Swamp, and then Hookshot was on Cold Stare after all.
All right, well, it was absolutely nothing. And because we know that the pedestal has nothing, we don't need that pendant. Going to leave it behind, skip that cutscene.
And thoroughness does seem to be the name of the game today for beer. Unless I've missed my guess, he may well be headed to that bonk chest.
Well, he still does have the ether tablet, which we know is nothing, and that one item in Tower of Hera on Moldor.
Yeah, that's true. So yeah, you put it all together, and that's 3 items versus the maximum of 4 in Swamp. So yeah, actually, this is not terrible. Only that Moldorm has a chance of being what he needs, but if that winds up being it, then that's huge.
Yeah, but it looks like Devio is going to go into Swamp, so this could very well go a long way to deciding the race here. This homemade beer does have to sit through this cutscene, so he can get the big key, so he can get up to the top of Tower of Hera. Can't do Hera Pop because we don't have the hookshot.
Yep, it's not a fun proposition, but what are you gonna do? If you're Devio, the answer to that question is go to Hookless Swamp, obviously.
Yeah, I would like to potentially do both sides of Left Side Swamp one at a time. Oh, well, there you go.
Oh, boy. That was the hook shot there in the first chest of Swamp Palace.
Yeah, so now Devio just needs that cane to show up along the way here, and then he'll be in go mode.
Yeah, and there's not too many other places where it could show up. Homemade Beer is about to show us one of them. Interesting. Devio's going to go ahead and do left side of Swamp first. Typically, one item from go mode. You see runners do the back first. Oh, and that is the red cane on Moldorm.
Okay, so this isn't over at all because... Wow, all right. So Devio is going to full clear Swamp to try to find the red cane and not find it. And Homemade Beer is going to probably full clear Total Rock to find the hookshot and not find it.
Yep, but they're both going to get a crystal at the end of their journey, but then once they do, Homemade Beer basically only has Hookless Swamp left to him where he will find his hookshot. Devio's going to have to avoid getting sucked into Ice Palace, getting sucked into the back of Thieves Town, all kinds of time sinks that Devio could wind up getting sucked into to just hand this race all the way to Homemade Beer.
Yeah, this is going to be tough for him because he has done everything else available on the mountain except for actually I guess he hasn't done the 3 other hookshot cave checks. So if if he's wanting to, he could come up and do Hookshot Cave and Hera. Otherwise, it's Ice Palace.
Yeah, that's a very good point. With that hook shot, if he gets pulled back up to the mountain, that could be the nudge that it takes to get Devio up to the top of Hera, and especially being able to Herapot to get up there, it being a much quicker check than sitting through the tile room. It's not over quite yet.
No.
And unfortunately, Homemade Beer missed the most difficult skill check in the game, and that's remembering that you don't have hookshot in the torch room of Turtle Rock.
Yeah, this is something that I've done many a time.
Yeah, show me somebody who's never done this, and I will show you somebody who hasn't been playing Randomizer long enough to get into this situation.
Yeah, that's true.
Devio heading into his Argus fight as Beer contends with some chain chomps. Devio missing a couple of those puff pulls, and doesn't quite make that quick kill on the final phase. There we go. Argus goes down.
All right, that's the 5th crystal for Devio. Just needs to get that cane from the Tower of Hera in order to finish off those final 2 dungeons.
All right, and Devio is fluting to 1.
Yeah, this is what you wanted to see if you are a Devio partisan. Looks like he is going to start with the hookshot cave part, but I would imagine that he would go ahead and go and do Moldorm after not finding anything there in hookshot cave.
Yeah, I would tend to assume so as well. That's
No, it is not guaranteed.
Yeah, if you're feeling behind or if you're feeling outmatched, sometimes runners will make some weird skips, but it would definitely be the odds-on play to go ahead and check off that last box here on the mountain. Beer finding the silver arrows there in Turtle Rock, so we're going to have a nice easy-peasy Ganon fight today.
Yeah, it's certainly a possibility that Devio will not get that because when he does Turtle Rock, it'll be a go mode Turtle Rock, and fairly often people will skip that big key, the big chest there. Just head straight to the back.
All right, Devio is making his move into Tower of Hera. And he's going to be happy when he finds that he is in go mode upon grabbing that red cane from Moldorm. Should be a nice, quick worm fight. The worm goes down as Homemade Beer crosses the big gap towards Trinex. Beer showing us off those nice, swaggy, behind-the-back Trinex strats. I mean, also it's faster, but most importantly, it looks good.
And those are the best kind of swaggy strats, the ones that are also faster.
So we've got a pretty close race as I'm looking at it. Devio heading back into Mire. That's one that both of our runners will have to do, but otherwise, Homemade Beer is up a Turtle Rock clear, but he's going to have to go back down and clear Swamp Palace. So yeah, this should be an interesting end game to watch. I'd estimate that we are probably within GT routing range of our outcome here today.
Yeah, Homemade Beer is going to check this last bonk chest here in Hookshot Cave, find 300 rupees, and then will very likely go and follow Devio into Mire. They'll both complete it, and then they will both go and complete the respective dungeons that they need to do before they meet up in GT. And it'll be interesting to see who gets there first.
Yes, indeed. It's I'm struggling to think of anything that Homemade Beer could do after Mire other than suck it up and do that hookless swamp, which is in fact the answer.
Yeah, I think that he's done everything else. I don't think there is anything he could possibly do.
I don't know if he ever did batter, but it's quick even if he does.
No, he did that. He made sure to go and do that, even though it was a one-off for him. Yeah, he has been very, very thorough and left himself with no options, I think, other than to go in the swamp. Luckily for him, the hookshot is the first chest there, so his swamp palace will be pretty quick.
Yep, yeah, Devio did do left side swamp, so that's one advantage that Beer will have. And Fire Shield and Crystal number 6 is on Vidi for Devio. I suppose it'll be a different Crystal number 6 for Beer. Or rather, the same Crystal 6 with a different Crystal 7. Both of our runners getting the spooky action glitch today, so no difference there. So yeah, looking like potentially slight advantage Devio here, as he's gonna be getting into Turtle Rock just a little quicker than Beer gets into Swamp, and then he'll already be on the mountain and ready to head into GT as soon as he clears that. Then again, Swamp's gonna be a quicker dungeon. Yeah, it's really too close to call.
Yeah, I think this is still up for. I think this is still up for grabs for either one of these runners.
So yeah, GT big key routing is going to be the big question mark here. Execution can still make a difference, although between red mail, silver arrows, and the butter sword on Trinex just rounding out our make Ganon really easy expansion pack. I say silvers. Beer has silvers. Devio could still wind up skipping it, like you pointed out earlier. It is sitting in the big chest of Turtle Rock here. Last location in your Go Mode item never feels good, but when it's a Go Mode hook shot in Swamp Palace, you gotta be wondering, maybe the other guy did it too. Maybe I'm fine. Maybe this is all fine.
Yeah, it's one of those where it's the last location, but it doesn't feel as bad as some other last locations might. And you think, I feel like not going into Swamp House without the hook shot works out for you most of the time.
Swamp Palace, one of those dungeons that is just so nice to Go Mode. Don't need to stop for anything. Just straight to the back, take down Argus, and go.
Yeah, there's a lot of long hallways that you get to just run down. It kind of feels good. And skipping every chest, there is nothing that Beer needs here. He's got everything he could possibly want.
Yep. Now, there is still something in Turtle Rock that Devio would have wanted. It was the silver arrows, and he did just walk past them, so that'll be a little bit of time saved for Beer, but with Gold Sword, half magic, etc., 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 it'll cost a little bit of extra time, but not terrible.
Yeah, although it could be the difference if they drop in again around the same time. 12 spins versus 4 arrows. It's not a lot, but it's not nothing.
Yep, and oh boy, that was a super clean Argus fight on Beer's side over there. Blink and you miss it.
Yeah, so Homemade Beer has his 7th crystal, and has even completed the all dungeons portions of the seed, and now is going to head into Ganon's Tower.
Yep, there are 22 locations where that GT Big Key could be hiding. Chat's getting some bets in. The bot is dead, long live the bot, so this is for your own personal edification with absolutely nothing on the line.
As opposed to before when the bot existed and there was a lot on the line.
Oh yeah, there were all kinds of real fake internet points at stake.
Trinex down for Devio. It's going to be his 7th crystal, and he will be going into GT, and is going to be very, very close. I think he's going to get in there first, but only by a few seconds.
I'm not even sure the cutscene completes, and yeah, it looks like Beer's gonna be in there just ever so slightly ahead.
Yeah, I was wrong. Beer came out of that cave and just a screen ahead.
Yep. We've got dueling crystal cutscenes. That's about as close as it gets. Beer, of course, does have the silver advantage, but it's GT big key routing is going to be the big question mark. If they diverge going in here, then oh boy. All right, Beer starting left. Devio starting right. It's not on the torch. It's not in Hope Room, and there's no small key in Hope Room either, so Devio's going to have to go left as well.
Yeah, and Homemadebeer already has the mirror. Oh, that's the big key.
Yep, that was, I believe, check number 3 by Devio's count. Or by Beer's count, I mean. Apologies. So, yep, Beer gets it first, but still, that extended his lead just a bit, but not by much.
All right, Devio opened a few extra chests because he started on the right-hand side instead of the left-hand side. So just a few screens behind Homemadebeer now as they start this climb.
Yep, and Devio's going to need to play out of his mind in this gauntlet to not just catch up with Homemadebeer, but make up the difference that silver arrows make at this point. A bad tumble on Moldorm 2 could shave that lead some. It's not over quite yet.
Yeah, I've even seen one race this week where Landmo 2 ended up being pretty much the deciding factor.
Yeah, a nice clean zero cycle Landmo 2 versus a runner that lets them get away from them a little. Homemadebeer doesn't quite get the zero cycle, but he cleans it up on the next one, leaving the Landmo 2 room at 136.46.
As long as he does not use another arrow and does not miss an arrow in the Ganon fight, he will be fine on arrows, but has left himself with the absolute least number of arrows possible. He can do arrows and spins, but I think he'd prefer to just do 4 arrows into Ganon.
Yes, indeed. And Devio does get the zero cycle Landmo, exits the room at 137.16, so that's what, 90 seconds between our runners? Beer picking up the extra 5 arrows from the pot in that pre-Moldorm 2 room. So he's going to be in good shape to fight the pig. And Moldorm 2 goes down. No Moldorm, no Trolldorm shenanigans to help Devio out here.
No, he's just got to do Aghanim 2 and then on to Ganon. Devio right behind. Checking the extra chests. Probably looking for the silver arrows, I would imagine.
Yeah, you want them if you can have them. And if you don't have to go too far out of your way for them, but this is not going to help, unfortunately, for Devio. I don't know if that triple counted. Two of those bolts hit pretty close together, but either way, Beer finishes out his Aga 2 fight, and it's on to the pig.
Yeah, and Homemade Beer is in pretty good shape. Has the lead and the silver arrows that Devio does not have. So, just needs to get through this fight.
Very nice 1+1 there. The butter sword, of course, making it pretty easy. Taking a little kiss from a back, but Red shrug that off, no problem.
Yeah, I think making sure he gets the 1-1, even if he had the tempered sword, there with those strats. Devio drops into Ganon as Homemade Beer is on phase 3.
And a beautiful triple silver arrow strike to the dome. Takes the pig down. Get your GGs in chat for Homemade Beer. Taking this very close race. And crossing the bridge with an official race time of 1 hour, 40 minutes, 56 seconds. And the Triforce mocks him. Ultra Clown Row. Did you last location your Go Mode item? Well, here, take victory anyway. Taking Devio just a little bit longer to get through his pig fight. Does miss the torch glitch, but plenty of magic. Has to be a little careful with his health here, even with red mail.
Yeah, I think he could take one more bat.
Yeah, it looks like we will be joined by Homemade Beer just as soon as we get done watching Devio's pig fight here. Devio rocking the silverless slash like it ain't no thing. You'll love to see it.
Yeah, that was nice.
And the pig goes down for the second time this race. Get your GGs in chat for Devio. About to cross that bridge. With an official race time of 1 hour, 43 minutes flat. And we are joined here by Homemade Beer in the interview room. GG's.
Hey Ben, GG's. Thank you. That was a seed.
Yeah, you never feel great last locating your Go Mode item.
Yeah. Like, I felt that it wasn't impossible to last locate there. Like, when I got into the Dark World, I'm like, I could, like, go into Swamp. I got those flippers kind of early. I could dip it, but I'm like, no, I still have enough to do in wherever the rest of the world. And then, then because I never went, I kept finding like one thing that led to nothing. I found the bow, cool, that led to nothing. Found the fire rod somewhere that led to nothing. I don't know. But I was like being pretty cautious, I guess. So I was, in a way, I was full clearing efficiently.
Yeah. I was gonna ask. We definitely noticed a lot of thoroughness, a lot of checking off one-off checks before committing to your next big play. Was that sort of the plan going in, or was that just kind of how the race progressed?
Well, when I got to Village of Outcast area, I was looking at my map and thinking about like what I had available, and it was kind of nothing. So when I went into Thieves, I hadn't gotten that bow yet. So when I found one item in the front, like, okay, I'll just finish Thieves, I guess. Then when I got the bow, I'm like, crap, I can go do that now. But I found the book. I'm like, cool, maybe Desert has something. And I think Desert had the fire rod, but you know, pretty much was actually empty because then the flute was just free in Skullwoods at some point. So the book, it was actually useless. And then because of that, I was looking at, okay, well, I have a route to full clear the seed. Not that anyone ever wants to, but I saw a route for it, and I said, okay, fine, I'll do the full clear the seed route until I find something useful, which I never did until I found Mire.
Yeah, the biggest difference routing wise came very early when you, after the first trek into Tower of Hera for the hammer, you opted to go ahead and do East Death Mountain, whereas Devio opted to leave that and the Titan's Mitts behind. What went into that decision?
Yeah, well, getting the hammer, because I was already there, I figure there's, whatever, 7 quick checks, 6, 8 quick checks. I'll go grab them. Then when I got the mitts, I was like, okay, I kind of hate this, like, because now I have everything available everywhere, except for dungeons. Like, I had 0 dungeons beatable, except for Hera. And then I got those 2 checks, and then the entire seed, as soon as I found the boots, the entire seed, I'm like, I bet you Hookshot Cave is the answer. It's just in the first chest of Hookshot Cave, this entire seed. And so eventually committed to that before Swamp. And Hera, obviously. And when I found the Kanon Moldorm, I was thinking, like, well, I really want the Hookshot to lock this, because you could have just Hera potted and had a pretty free cane. You know, not waste a minute getting it. So then I just chased the cane to its death and found nothing behind it and thought, well, this is great. And I think I absolutely hard last location Hookshot in this. I actually thought for a long time it was going to be Ped, actually.
Yeah, that was definitely a lot of speculation in chat, because there was a moment there after you found that fire rod opening up Ice Palace when you were still 4 or 5 items from Go mode, all of which could have been on bed.
Yeah, and Ice Palace wasn't cane or Hookshot locked. There was just nothing in it. I was just like, come on, game. But yeah, I don't know. I didn't feel the worst, because I felt like a lot of the choices I made could easily be made by anyone. It was just because I was being super efficient, I didn't feel like the worst throughout it. But when you hard lassocate, you never feel good no matter what, right?
Yeah, when it's a hook shot and hookless swamp, it feels less bad, because, like you say, that's something that lots of people might make the same decisions.
Yeah, and that's sort of like in the end where I was banking on, I guess. But it sounded like Devio went into Swamp earlier, just went to Hera much later, so.
Yes, indeed. And we are joined here by Devio. GG's.
GG's.
Hey, GG's. That was like I said in our chat, that was kind of a cursed seed.
Yeah, it was kind of interesting, like, because I guess you continued on to the Death Mountain and got the mitts, whereas I pieced out and started looking for the boots, which I found immediately in Hype Cave. So that, like,
yeah.
I couldn't remember if Dark Death Mountain counts as Dark World or not, so I just kind of, like, gunned for it. that was my kind of thought on that, and so that kind of narrowed everything that I could do for a very long time, right until I went back. And at that point, I was pretty geared up, so I was able to like clear a lot of Dark Death Mountain, but then I still had to go back when I got I went into Swamp thinking, like, this type of seed is the thing where you're gonna get a hook shot in Swamp. So why don't we just assume that will be the case and just go in? I did try, was it Misery Mire first, but that had nothing in it. That was
Yeah. Okay, so you did that too.
Yeah.
Yeah, the swamp got me, man. That's all I gotta say. I full cleared everything in the whole seed before I went back. I just didn't want to go back,
Yeah, my thought was like, who would want to go into Swamp without hookshot or like the Samaria, which, I mean, you can still use the bomb to do the diver down, but it's a whole lot simpler to do with the Samaria. But I was like, you know what? Let's, I'm 0-3. Let's give it a try and see what happens.
I mean, it's one of those where you got to get the correct last location go mode item, right? Because hookshot like that, I'm guessing that means you full cleared Swamp then, and that's what led you to the late Samaria. So
yeah, right from there I went right to Hookshot Cave, and then I realized that there was an item on Moldworm still, so I parapotted a Moldworm.
Oh, nice. That was the dream, sort of.
It was surprisingly quick. I laughed when I saw that happen.
Yeah. So I guess then, because silvers were in like TR big chest, so.
So you cleared? Did you actually clear Hera the first time, or did you not have?
Oh,
fire,
no.
Or... Okay.
Yeah, I had fire, but I knew it was a key of some kind in the back chest, and I didn't even care which one.
Okay, so I picked up the key in back because I didn't have a fire source, and I saw it was a small key, so I was like, well, I cannot do anything here, so I might as well look for the boots.
Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, the real specific part of the routing that I was thinking, like, okay, do I start in Skull Woods or I start in Hype Cave?
Right.
And I don't know. I guess we both started in Hype Cave, so that helped.
Yeah, but I imagine you had a lot more efficient routing since you had the mitts, whereas I kind of got lucky and just kind of I didn't last location the Samaria. I still had a bunch of checks. Like I didn't do Thieves Town, didn't do ice at all.
Yeah. Oh, you didn't do Thieves Town at all?
I did the front.
Okay, so you got the book, and then there was like some bombs in the back or something. Some arrows.
And I was gonna go into desert with the book. Then I realized I didn't have a source of fire, so I followed the logic chain to get the lamp in. I think it was the waterfall cave, and then I.
Oh yeah.
And then I got the fire rod in Desert Palace anyway, and I was a little upset about that.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, because in standard I tend to be more thorough in Sphere 1, so I opened with Agina and got the flippers like not super early, after CAC. And then it's like, okay, cool, now I have enough money to do all the water checks too, and so I got the lamp like actually pretty early. In fact, I think besides dipping Eastern, Hammer was my last location as well. So
yeah, I did not dip Eastern at all.
Yeah, I went back and did Pod Eastern together, I think.
But I did clear Eastern and Pod with no lamp, and got nothing out of it. That was
that's always fun. Yeah.
I think the last seed I played had that too, or Pod was just garbage.
Yeah, and then the red crystal being nothing, which I was actually surprised by a bit, with the bow locking both of them. Like, it feels so specific.
Early,
yeah. And the more I think about this seed, I think you could have gotten away with like literally not touching Village of Outcasts at all. I think Flute was in Skull. You could have got that, activated it, and then
the mirror and the yeah, that was all good.
which is pretty crazy. It'd be like obviously impossible to do, but yeah.
Yeah, you'd have to make some big brain plays and have them pay off. But anyway, GG's. That was an interesting one, and it was a little bit more fun on my side, I think. But
yeah, GG's. I think the seed wasn't like so bad. It was just nothing led to anything. Everything was just available. Kind of, you had to go look for it. Is what it felt like. Like once you had Dark World access, there wasn't any more progression. It was just go. There was just like 3 items you needed to find that were all just available.
They're all in weird spots too.
Yeah.
But oddly, always very close to where you need them.
Yeah, right. Exactly.
Like Quake in the checkerboard cave, and then you get the Samaria up on Era, Hookshot in Swamp Palace. Why not?
Yeah, Flute and Skull. Just walk back down and activate it. Yeah, it was weird.